If we think about people like Shakespeare, someone that many of us think of as a real master of English usage, he didn't have any grammar books. He didn't have any grammar rules. So that tells us, for one thing, that it is entirely possible to write really well without rules. So grammar rule books actually arise out of a market gap. In the beginnings, writers didn't have rule books that they were following. It's not really until the very late 1700s and the 1800s that we start to get these books that tell us there's one way to do things. And either you're right or you're wrong, but there's a list of rules and we have to follow them. And this was an enormously successful industry. The people with successful grammar books got very, very rich. If we take an honest look at the history of language rule books, we can see, in fact, that not only did they not really help people learn to use language more effectively, they actually created more and more ambiguities. The more rules were created, the more anxiety people experienced about, wait a second, I just wrote a sentence or I read a sentence that seems not to have a rule that applies to it or that breaks a rule. Have I done something wrong? Will I look stupid? So you can be super accurate and follow all the rules all day and still have written something that either just kind of is lifeless and just doesn't leap off the page in the way that you want it to, or it could be totally context inappropriate. I know people who freak out if they get a text with no punctuation. That's a genre. Texting is a genre. So the standard really has to be what's effective, what's creating the right effect and the right style for the type of prose that you're trying to produce. And if we look at the way that really good writers actually work with punctuation, we see incredible variability. We see incredible flexibility. I think it's also super important to recognize that these rule books were invented by a certain demographic. So the people writing grammar rule books, they were all elite educated white men. And whether they intended to do so or not, the effect of that was to make one particular dialect of English the educated dialect, the correct dialect. And that dialect is only one English. Maybe you speak Appalachian English, maybe you speak Black English. Those are perfectly legitimate Englishes, and it really is just having had this one form of upper class, educated, elite, white guy English, legitimated by these rules, that has made us believe that that is fundamentally correct in some way. I think letting go of our idea that grammar rules are somehow essential gives us incredible creative freedom, not just in terms of how we write, but in how we make a more just and open world.